piece of sculpture up into smaller parts. If you are working on legs individually, I would try to make them all, approximately the same size. Everything you're gonna wanna have like really smoothed in nicely. I know I kind of showed like taking a leg, attaching it on. That's not what you wanna do. We're gonna wanna build it up and have hips and everything like that. So we're gonna make that my head. All right, so here is my little body. And I am just gonna start to like shape it a little bit. And I actually have a little drawing here that is super old school, but I found it and I'll post it. Super helpful. You could see how everything is broken into little pieces and then smoothed on. So I thought this was a really, really good, drawing to work with. This tail here, I would probably go in and like flare it out before attaching it on, and I will go over that today. But I'll post this because I think that's a little good little drawing. All right. So I'm gonna say that's my little body, and I'm just gonna start gradually sculpting the head. I always wanna look at like some type of reference when I'm doing this. And I'm gonna start kind of like pinching forward for the trunk area. And just making sure that like all these little creases are getting smoothed out along the way. I'm gonna start to develop that head. Elephants have like really like it's quite flat here, and then really like how their eyes go in. Quite interesting. I always love when I'm sculpting something new, going in and like observing. You really like notice things that you would have never noticed before. So I'm obviously gonna build this trunk up more, but I just want to get like an overall basic starting shape for my elephant head. And I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna make my feet. And some of you guys might have, more elongated feet, like say you're doing like a deer or a giraffe. Something like that. I'll make a leg like that to show you guys as well. But I want to make sure that it's going to be able to stand up on its own. Especially, if you have some type of like longer tail on it, I would recommend either resting it on the table or attaching it on more to the form itself. So that's gonna be my little leg. And there are so many different ways to sculpt so many different things. So I try to pick like some generalized demos, but when we go in on Tuesday, I'd really like to kind of see what you guys are working on and help you with any like little tidbits I could show you. And when we're done with class today, if you want to stay after for a little bit and show me what you have, that is good. Once projects are turned in, I like to kind of show them in class so you could see what your classmates are working on. I will not say who made what unless you are okay with that. Just because I know some people are, particular about showing their work, but I think that is important to see what everyone's working on. And sometimes I feel like people might not like their sculpture. They might be like, oh, I don't know about this. But there's something like magical about it, or really interesting, or really beautiful that you might not necessarily see. You know, everyone perceives artwork differently. I had a student years ago who made like all these really interesting animal sculptures, and they weren't realistic. They were more like kind of cartoony, but they were his own style. And he kept making them, but he didn't really like them, but I found them fascinating. So I kept some. They were really cool. So you never know. And, you know, art is subjective. I really am looking like a lot when I'm grading your work at like your craftsmanship, meaning like how everything's put together, you know, within like a like within what we're working on. We're gonna be doing a vase project that you're gonna wanna make like a super, super smooth vase to paint onto. So that would be something that, you know, you would want to really have excellent, you know, craftsmanship on, where some things are more free-flowing. Okay, so these are my little legs. I am going to go in and I'm going to make a more elongated leg. And everything is just about like really shaping one piece at a time. I like to start out with just like a generalized piece of clay and then work from there to start to sculpt something. So if I'm going to do something similar to like a deer leg or a giraffe, I'm really just going to make this more of like an elongated piece, so I could show you how to attach a joint on. I feel very school spirit today. I wore my mask and I have a Millville shirt on. It's Friday. Okay. So you're always gonna want to keep it going down like a little bit more slender towards the bottom until you build up like an actual foot, and you're gonna want to keep it thicker towards the top because that's what we're gonna use to really start building up that joint area. And once you get everything attached, you're gonna want to really go in and sculpt. I'm just trying to, you know, show you guys the basics. The basics of breaking up forms. So I'm gonna bring this down a little bit more. I'm gonna make like a little bend in it. And then I'm gonna build a little foot. So I kind of have just something like that right now. And making sure everything's like really, really smooth together. So I'm gonna attach this onto here, but I'm going to really kind of compress it in and then smooth into it. On all sides. And I'm working real gently with this. And sometimes it'll become flat more on the inside, so I like to go in and kind of round that up a little bit. So if you have a more elongated leg form like this, and I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna make my woolly mammoth, but if I were actually going in and making something, I would definitely go in and detail it a little bit more. But for time's sake, what you're gonna do is where it meets the top, where it's a little bit thicker, kind of flatten it ever so slightly. So you have something that looks like that. Then when you go to attach it on, rest it, really, really compress this in. Super, 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 super compress, 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 compress. Then I'm gonna go in where it meets, and I'm going to smooth that in really, really well. Now in the toolkits I gave you guys, there were a variety of tools. Let me go grab something real quick. Actually, got one right here. These little green tools, I tried to give you guys a few different ones, are really great to go in and smooth in. In ceramics, there's specific tools, but really anything could be a tool. And I have a video on like different things as well that you could use as tools that are just around your house. Low battery. Hold on. And then in here, I want to smooth that in as well. So if you can't go ahead in and smooth with your hand necessarily, go in with a tool and kind of push that on. So you could see now you already have a joint and you are ready to start sculpting it. But I want to show you up close. I would go in and like really blend this down, but you're building up a nice hip joint. And this would be if you had a more elongated leg. That would be really smoothed in and detailed. I am going to take this one off. I have to get my charger, smooth this up, and then I'm going to show you how to do the little woolly mammoth. So give me 1 minute.